Let's talk about the Marvel movies. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't got anything good to say about this movie, and I don't recommend it at all. As a matter of fact, this is an example of what not to do, and I really hope Marvel kind of learns from this. But I did appreciate kind of the special effects and the choreographing in the movie. I like how they CGI'd the characters when they're fighting so that we get to see more of it and there's less cuts. I do think that they did a good job with swapping their powers and interchanging them and putting them in situations where we get to see something really cool happen. With that being said, that's about all that I liked about the movie. Exposition is the #1 plight in every movie, but it's the #1 plight for this movie especially. The first act alone is used just to get us caught up with the characters. Like, we were giving explanations about their backgrounds and how they got their powers, and honestly, even if these were characters we never met before, introducing them like this deflates any situation or emotional connection that we could have gotten with them in the first place. It was like the writers were scared that there were a lot of people that didn't watch the other shows or movies, or maybe they were like, hey, remember when this happened? And almost like they wanted us to nod and be like, oh yeah, I remember that. No. And because they spend so much time explaining their backgrounds, explaining the plot of the movie, explaining why what is happening right now is supposed to be happening right now, we never get to fully connect emotionally or psychically. Is that what we want to use? I mean, in the first act, there's this part where Monica has to fly to save Miss Marvel, but she doesn't know how to fly, and there's this big thing about it where she says, oh, I've never done it before, I can't do it, and all it takes is Nick Fury just to yell at her for a little bit for her to figure it out.
Monica, you gotta fly.
No.
Black girl magic.
Not only that, but for whatever reason, Miss Marvel has like a costume change in the middle of the first act. It comes out of nowhere, and it's supposed to fit in the plot so that she can hide her bangle in the next scene from the big bad person. It just felt so clunky. It felt so clunky and out of place and almost like, oh, they won't notice it. It's okay. That's not why people watch movies. And it's distracting. And I think like there is something to that, where if we're staring at her costume change that is out and unapparent, then I think the movie is doing something wrong. On top of this, Carol Danvers and Monica and then Kamala Khan, they all have these different interactions with one another. You know, Kamala looks up to Carol for being Miss Marvel, for being this hero, but it's weird because it's like, why? Like, you just fangirl over her, but there's not really a reason why we fangirl over her. And because there's not a reason why we fangirl over her, we don't really understand the connection between them. So whenever Carol is shown to not be the hero that she is supposed to be, or that people are supposed to see her as, it doesn't matter to us. We don't care because we never made that connection in the first place. So when some people see her as a villain and other people see her as a hero, we were never given the time to understand and respect that aspect.
Annihilation.
I don't like that name.
I do see Monica's and Carol's relationship being more dynamic and fitting because we had a whole movie. This is a sequel to the first Miss Marvel movie. So they feel a lot more connected, where she was a kid last time we saw her, and now she has powers, and it turns out Carol never came back in return, but they don't ever let this stuff marinate. They would rather just exposition us to death, just sit there and explain the plot and explain how they feel, then show us how they feel, show us how these interactions are affecting them and affecting how they can interact with the world itself. So the second act, in trying to show us conflict between the characters, just falls flat, because whenever we round into the third act, it isn't the conflict between characters that allow them to fail, it's just that they weren't ready. And in order for them to get over the conflict, they're just like, hey, everything's okay with us now. That's it. That's all it took. And honestly, you would think that I would be making this up or that I was over exaggerating, but no, it was just like, okay, we're good now, and let's hug it out and move on. If the exposition wasn't taken up all the time, then it was the comedy or the action. And I do appreciate the action. And honestly, you might not agree with me, but I do like Marvel's sense of humor. I'm a fan of the mom/dad humor that they play out. But when it gets in the way of the story and giving me good movie to watch, then I got a problem with it. Going into the third act, all our characters have kissed and made up. They're ready to face their problems, and we got the big villain, the big baddie of what's going on. One, I don't even know who this person is. I don't know. I feel like they're nameless person. Actually, let me just look it up right now. Okay, so Darbin, they race swapped him, which honestly I could care less about that. But this was a character that I don't think a lot of people knew about, and they had the potential to create something with them, kind of like with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I guess girls gotta fight girls, and I don't like the fact that they gave her freaking Ronan the Annihilator's hammer. It was like, it was an iconic weapon for him, and it just made her feel like a knockoff, kind of like she herself was just as powerful as him or just as threatening as him, but we never felt that. Not that Ronan was that much better of a villain, I just didn't like that it reminded me of him. On top of that, her motivations were cool on paper. Like, I like the fact that she was willing to do anything for her planet, to save her planet, and she was attacking planets that Miss Marvel cared about, or Carol Danvers, I should say. And like, yeah, the premise, the idea, great. The execution, not so much. We don't get to see or understand why that is an issue. Maybe flashbacks that happen for literally 30 seconds of the movie. I don't understand why we can't marinate some of these moments a little more instead of just sitting there and having characters talk to each other around a table. Yeah, it's cool that Carol Danvers picks up and helps her planet in the end and actually acts like a hero. Again, the premise is cool, but we don't care. We don't care how we get there. We don't get to see these people interact. We don't actually understand their motives and why she's upset that her people have a dying planet and she will damn other people's planets to save her own. It just feels like the movie's telling me, hey, you should like this person, hey, this person's bad. Like, don't tell me how to feel during a movie. Also, she was just like a guard, right? She was just like a soldier, like a foot soldier from the backstory that we saw, just like how in the first movie, how Carol Danvers' mentor was kind of like a soldier and she just one-shotted him. Why there were moments in this movie where like they nerfed Carol Danvers and I couldn't understand why. The plot just forced her not to be as powerful. One second she's grabbing missiles out of the air, blowing up ships, and then the next second she chooses to fly a plane and get shot down, and then they're having this big old fight scene on top of a plane on a spaceship, and Carol Danvers chooses to fight the girl that isn't as strong as her instead of just like blowing up the spaceship that she's standing on and making her fall into the water. Like, is the universal hammer just that strong that it can keep up with her? Or like why doesn't everyone have a universal? I'm usually not one to nitpick these types of things, but this movie just made me think, like, why are we struggling against her? Why are we letting her blow up planets and hurt people if we could just one shot her? Just stop. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe the movie has something to show me. Oh my gosh, this review's been going on for 10 minutes. I just wanted to make a 3-minute video saying how much I dislike this movie, and I got on this huge rant. So then I was thinking to myself, maybe the movie's like gonna show me something. Maybe like the third act's gonna be super cool and like the villain's gonna do like something really powerful, and they just fight in a room. They fight in a room and she just gets beat. Like, not even that difficult to beat her. So we just like let people die because reasons. Overall, this movie suffers from just an overexposure of exposition and trying too hard to cater towards the MCU's timeline. I really like that these characters are intermingling and You know, we get to see people from TV shows and movies come back, but they really should just focus on the story and stop thinking that we have these big superhero characters on the screen is enough for us to be enjoyed. That's why I got to give the Marvels a 4 out of 10. Until next time, play nice. I just looked up the reviews for this movie, and people like this movie. Wait. I feel bad now. I feel like I should have wrote a script for this video, actually. I didn't even want to write a script for this video because I was like, unanimously, this movie isn't good, right? Right? Do I have to make a second video?